everyone. Welcome to the Seeds of Success podcast, hosted by Dottie San Martin and myself, Orly Rivera. This show is your weekly dose of knowledge, insights, and actionable tips that transform centers into striking successes. Whether you're a seasoned industry professional or just stepping onto the lanes, we've got you covered. Dottie, I am I want to say pumped up today. I went for a bike ride again. You know, my bike was flat for like a year. I finally got it fixed. And, I just have energy. Sometimes you feel like when you exercise, you're going to be more tired, but sometimes it actually, rejuvenates you. So today I'm in this uppity mood. So I hope you're the same. How did you wake up today?
Well, Orly, I wake up every morning and to a nice cup of Starbucks coffee. Yes, my husband is awesome. Yes, a cup of Starbucks every morning. And my enjoyment is to wake up slowly with my caffeine, right? And I go through my inbox and I get all sorts of like marketing emails and, some that aren't marketing, some that I'd rather not open right away, but that's how it goes. But anyway, I have to tell you, Orly, I woke up and the title of the email that I woke up to that caught my attention and I had to read it was the most overlooked factor in retention. What do you think it is?
I have no idea.
Feeling valued.
Okay.
So, of course, I have to open it up. I start to read it. It's talking about disengagement and turnover aren't always driven by pay or workload or title. That a lot of times that people leave or become disengaged because they don't feel seen or valued or even like they're essential for the job. So as a result, this email starts talking about this book called The Power of Mattering, How Leaders Can Create Culture of Significance. And of course, I'm already zoomed into the title because I'm very much about making sure that people feel recognized, right? I feel like that if I don't let you know that you're valued, Orly, shame on me. I do try to pride myself in making sure that I am relaying how I feel. But a lot of times, we get busy and that doesn't happen. But this book definitely caught my eye, The Power of Mattering, How Leaders Can Create a Culture of Significance. It's by Zach Mercurio, I believe is how you pronounce it. And I have to share with you, of course, the first thing I did, Orly, is get a sample of it just because I knew I was going to be buying this book because this is a topic that is so near and dear to me. And so I downloaded the sample of the book and I hey, I'm gonna see what this is all about. I'm already gonna buy it. I don't really even need to know the sample. But I read a couple of quotes from people that are very inspirational and that I follow. And I was like, you know what? I got to share these two things with Orly because they are spot on. I do believe that this book is so relevant. But one is Simon Sinek. And I'm going to read you what he said because it's super spot on. It says, every single one of us wants to feel like we matter. And yet most of us are pretty bad at making others feel like they matter, especially at work. Now we have a tool to help. The Power of Mattering offers simple, straightforward guidance to ensure we create thriving, cooperative, and high-trust cultures in which people really feel that they matter. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that is.
I know you have a copy of the book now too, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I think people, people like to feel like they matter, I don't think they're like, hey, let me know that I matter. But if they're not being told that they matter or they're not being recognized for things, I think it does impact someone, and, and even in an environment where you work in the public, if your manager isn't treating you that way, I think people see that, it just triggered a memory in my head, but I like to watch, I want to say it's put on by, the people that do 2020 or Dateline or one of those where they do like a hidden camera show. Have you ever seen that? And they'll have like a manager, a fake manager actor, like yelling at an employee in front of somebody. And then a person comes over, like just a customer, and is like, are you okay? Like they shouldn't be yelling at you that way. And they'll like stick up for someone. And
Yeah.
that just goes to show people, people want to be valued themselves, but others want to see people being valued too when they see them like working hard.
Absolutely. And you know what? It sends out a good message when you are doing it and others are witnessing it. It does send out a really good message, right? It
Yeah.
gives me a warm feeling when I'm out in public and I see a manager go up and do something kind for an employee or recognize an employee or even stand up for an employee that's being yelled at. That makes me think highly of that manager and of that business. And I think it's really, really important to feel comfortable doing that. But you know what? I guess the thing is that it is recognized that people do want to feel like they matter. And, you can take a great employee that's energetic, that's motivated, that's always coming up with ideas, always going that extra mile. And it's just a real team player, right? They're always shouting the praises of the business. They're making sure that everybody knows how great, an experience is at this center or this business or how good the food is at this restaurant. And if they start to feel like that they're not noticed and that people are just carrying on without them or their ideas are not being heard or they're not, being told yay or nay about something that they've done, they're not being given feedback at all, they will slowly start to become less and less enthusiastic. And, those are the people that start to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
And you can take an employee that's your best employee, and if you're not aware of this power of mattering, they will get disgruntled, they'll get disappointed, they'll get disencouraged, and they'll wind up going someplace else where they feel like they matter. Everybody wants to make a difference. Everybody wants to feel like they matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that, and also just when you care, like you were saying, when somebody really cares about what they do, or they, they tend to share, like, for instance, I'll say myself, there's so many times where I'm like telling someone like, oh, you should see, the Neoverse wall we have. And then I'll pull up a video from like Bowl Expo or show them some center, 'cause it's just so cool. And I'm excited to share it even when I'm not working.
Yeah.
And that goes to, working for a company. I feel like everybody's like that within our company because, if you work for a company and you're like proud of something and you see nobody else is, or that the company themselves aren't really proud of it and bragging about it, it's kind of like, why would I do it if, you know what I mean? So that kind of rubs off the same way you're saying with, the same thing. But yeah, I think that's important when you show, you show yourselves and when you see others, because everybody just starts to feed off each other.
You're so right. And, as I said at the beginning, I'm super excited to download this book and start reading it because it's a topic that I feel like it's so obtainable. First of all, it's the right thing to do, right? As a human being, when you do something and you do it well, I want you to know that. I want to tell you that. And sometimes maybe I might be guilty of the opposite sometimes. Maybe I go overboard because I get so excited when a job is completed or somebody has gone and taken it upon themselves to do things. I sometimes get so excited, I may go overboard, and you might go, oh my gosh, it's over the top again, right?
My wife's did that before. She's like, I don't know, like, let's say we went to somebody's house for dinner and then she was like, that was like so good, and telling them, and they're like, oh, thank you. And she's like, no, really, like, that's probably the best I've ever had. Like, it was just so good. And then we leave and I'm like, were you like joking? Cause it was like kind of over the top. No, I was just so serious. And I'm like, oh, cause it almost seemed fake. Cause you just kept going on about it. It was like, it was so good. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's really hard to contain yourself. So, but obviously, to bring it in front of people. And that's really what we want to do today. When I read this, I was like, you know what? I have to share this. First of all, I'm super excited about getting the book. And some of our listeners, I think you would probably benefit from it. If this is something that you feel that you're challenged with, take a look. There's all kinds of books out there. I just happened to find this one. I like it. The cover of the book is actually kind of cool, the graphic designer in me was like, "Whoa, I like that. That's cool. It caught my mind. It caught my eye."
We're gonna have to send the authors this show, so they could hear our feedback and how great you think this is.
Well, I do. And me, like I said, when I get excited about something, I don't contain it very well. So, but the main thing is, the message I want to get out to our listeners is this is easy. This is really easy to do. Be aware of how much impact this can have on your business. I don't care if you're in the bowling and entertainment business or if you own a little small mom and pop's, specialty store. It doesn't matter. If you have employees, this matters. And the fact that it does have such an impact on what goes on in your business, as you said, if your employees feel like they don't matter, they're going to be less engaged. They're going to not deliver the service that you want. They're going to start to pull back. They're not going to be that huge, shout it out that we've got great products. They're just not going to really care anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Not going to go that extra mile. And that can be damaging to your business. And it's all correctable, right? It's correct.
Yeah. And sometimes you honestly, and just to be truthful, like sometimes you as a manager, not you, but like someone as a manager and owner, maybe you don't even know that you're giving that bad vibe off, or you don't realize you're not appreciating people. So sometimes maybe you just need to sit back, take a look at what you're doing for your employees. Are you recognizing them? In your head, you might think, man, they are such a great worker. But have you told them that lately? Have you congratulated them on some of the work they did? You know what I mean? And I think that makes a huge difference when they hear that feedback from you.
And you and I have shared with listeners many times before to get your staff involved, let them be part of your story.
Yeah.
And, this is a good opportunity when you allow your staff and you ask them questions and you allow them to be a part of something you're considering doing for your business, or maybe you're a restaurant and you're wanting to bring in new menu items or whatever, and you allow them to be a part of that conversation and they have ideas they share with you. Listen to those ideas. And even if you don't act upon those ideas, maybe you just take a little bitty piece of that idea. Make sure you're communicating to that employee that you heard it. You think it's a great idea. Have good, just down to earth communication with them and let them know that was appreciated. That was a great idea. I might not be using it this time, but you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. It's those kinds of ideas that are going to keep this business moving forward. That is what we need to do. That little bit of feedback is going to go a long ways. It's going to make that person want to continue being a part of it. Whereas if you don't say anything, you don't use the idea, you don't even acknowledge that they took the time to give you that suggestion, then they're not going to want to participate. They're going to want to stop thinking of ways to take and push this business forward.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just recognition. Like I said, sometimes people aren't looking for the recognition, but it feels good when you get it, I know there's been times where we've, been on a meeting or something and maybe they don't necessarily know who did what, but somebody might say something like, oh, this was done. One of the departments did this, and you're pretty quick to jump on and say, actually, that was Orly that did that, or me and Orly did that ourselves. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the recognition needs to be seen and who took the hard work and know how much hard work went into it,
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. It is, number one, it's gratifying for that person, whoever did put in the hard work. It's very gratifying to know that others appreciated it. And these are simple little things that our listeners can do. I'm really excited. My Starbucks was delicious this morning. As always, shout out to Starbucks. I'm one of their biggest fans, but my hubby happens to be one of their most loyal customers because he goes in faithfully every morning. Even my puppy dog loves to go there to get it right. So he's a huge fan too. But anyway, like I said, I woke up, I saw this book. Again, I want to mention the name, The Power of Mattering, How Leaders Can Create a Culture of Significance, by Zach Mercurio. And it's put out by Harvard Business Review Press. So I plan to get this tonight, and I am going to start reading it and I sent you the link too. So, yeah, we'll just see where it goes. I think this is a great topic, and I hope that our listeners are able to also benefit from listening to, just, if nothing else, just making you aware of how important this is in our business world.
Yeah, and I think, like I said earlier, sometimes you don't realize you're not giving the recognition. You don't realize you're not applauding somebody for something. Maybe this will trigger, somebody might listen to this and be like, oh man, I should take the time to thank my employees or something. And the thing about it is, it's free. It's free to thank someone. It's free to recognize someone, So yeah.
Absolutely. So, and with the subtitle of to create a culture of significance, to me, that's I can't wait to read it, because I think that's what we need to do. That just needs to be our culture in the workplace. It'll just be a much better place to work in. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you, listeners, so much for being a part of today's Seeds of Success. With decades of industry experience, we are honored to share these little ideas and things that we come across, and strategies, trends, all designed to help entertainment centers like yours thrive and grow. Together, we're planting seeds for a stronger, more successful future. Share this podcast with your team and industry experts, other industry experts and friends, because the more seeds we sow, the greater the harvest. Like us, share us, download us. Until next time, listeners, let's continue to build success, one happy guest and one incredible experience at a time.